Alright, yeah, welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going to be playing a little bit of Standard, just to, palette cleanse a little bit of the Historic and Jumpstart run that we've been going on. I guess it's, mostly Historic's a palette cleanse from Standard, but you know how it is. Also, I do apologise in advance if you can hear maybe the fan going on in the background, or even house alarms. I've been having power outages, and it's nearly 30 degrees Celsius, which I think is like 87 Fahrenheit or something like that, in my room right now. So I am slowly combusting. But yes, speaking of combusting, we're going to be playing some Chandra Tribal, because I feel like every single time a new Chandra enters the format, and enough haven't left it, we should really visit this deck. So the new one is Chandra Heart of Fire, a 5-mana, 5 loyalty planeswalker. You get to tick up and discard your hand, then exile the top 3 cards of your library, and you may play them until the end of the turn, which is pretty cool. So you can make your land drops, and you can also play more Chandras. We do have a nice variable amount. We're going to be trying to do is like 3s of, so we don't really hit the legend rules so often, but Chandra Awakened Inferno is going to be the exception, since this one just ends games a lot of the time. It's a board wipe, can't be countered, so it's great against control, and it pluses to give that extra +1 damage per turn, which honestly can do a hell of a lot of value in a nutshell. I did consider going to 3 Awakened Infernos and adding in an Ugin, but then I figured that it'd be less Chandra Tribal and more race to Ugin and I win. So yeah, I kind of opted against that. The rest of the deck is essentially burn spells and card advantage. So we got Flame Sweep to sweep the board, obviously. Chandra's Triumph deals 3 damage to a creature or a planeswalker. However, if you have a Chandra in play, it deals 5 damage instead, so it's actually pretty tall removal. We've got Scorching Dragonfire for the exile that we may need. Again, it hits creatures or planeswalkers. 3 shocks in here to hit those Gilded Goose and things of that nature, and then some Perforos's Interventions, which we can either use to deal double damage to a creature or planeswalker, again, more tall removal, or we actually can make ourselves an X1 elemental if we pay the X, which is kind of cool, and it gets sacrificed at the end step. So we do actually have a little bit of an elemental combo in this deck, mainly built around the Chandra's Regulator, which is a combo in itself. 2 mana for a legendary artifact. Whenever you activate the loyalty ability of a Chandra Planeswalker, you may pay 1, and if you do, copy that ability, and you choose new targets for the copy. You can also tap it and pay 1 to discard a mountain or a red card to draw a card. That's the reason why we're not going with 4 Interplanar Beacons or 4 Mobilized Districts, as much as we can make that mana base work. It's just a lot less things that can be discarded to the Regulator. So if we do have a land top decked off the top, which in our unspecified mana base, forgive them, it's early access, we are running 25, but you wouldn't be able to tell. We're actually running 6 lands in this deck. But yes, if we drew a mountain, we've already got 6 lands, for example. We can just straight up discard it and try find a Chandra that we don't already have, which is kind of cool. Also gets around the legendary downside of both our Planeswalkers and itself as well, which is why I'm comfortable running 3. And I was almost tempted to actually run 4, but I wanted to make some room for Maze Mind Tome from M21 as well, which I think kind of does a Chandra Regulator light kind of effect. It's almost Treasure Map. 2 mana for an artifact, you can tap it to scry 1. You can pay 2 to draw a card, and then if you do it 4 times, in either combination, you exile and gain 4 life, which is kind of nice. But back to Chandra's Regulator, it is a combo piece in itself, so every single Planeswalker activation can be paid for 1 to double up. So we have a nice little combo between the Chandra Acolyte of Flame and Chandra Novice Pyromancer. Acolyte of Flame can make 2 1/1 elemental creature tokens. If we pay the 1 on that, obviously we're going to be making 4 elemental creature tokens. And then Chandra Novice Pyromancer for the tick up has a elementals, gets +2/+0 until the end of the turn. So if you can activate that while we have 4 elementals out, that makes these 5/1s, which could probably close out the game on its own. So if we can get these 2 together, then that's going to be pretty nice. Otherwise, actually, the real use for Chandra Novice Pyromancer is the minus for the red mana there, which we can use to ramp up into our bigger planeswalkers. Again, if we can regulate, then we can actually ramp up a little bit more as well. Instead of the 2 mana, we pay 1 of it to gain 3 mana, essentially, in a nutshell. So, it's pretty nice. Allows us to get to these guys easy enough. But yeah, I think the deck should really speak for itself in the gameplay. So, without further ado, if you do enjoy the content, make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, all that jazz. And yeah, let's get to the gameplay and test out the new M21 cards. This video is brought to you by the generous support of our wonderful patrons and channel members that you see here. If you'd like to support the channel and get access to cool content like sneak peeks, bonus videos, polls on future content, or access to a personal deck critique from myself every month, then hit the join button down below, or check out the Patreon link in the description. With all that said, let's get into the gameplay. Alright, opponent's playing Gigantha, so it's probably going to be an interesting matchup. We've got some removal and a decent amount of lands, so let's take this one and pass the turn. So Gigantha the Wellspring is our opponent's commander. It allows you to add one of the many colours of magic. Actually, it adds all 5, in fairness. And it looks like our opponent's probably playing all 5. We're really kind of opening ourselves up to RNGesus here. We need to be drawing lands all the way up until we get to the Heart of Fire, at the very least. And we need to hope that the cards that we have currently are good enough. And I think Scorching Dragonfire on a Cauldron Familiar is perfectly fine to me. Beautiful. So far, so good. So they're playing... John Sacrifice plays the Gigantha, right? That's also dead. And they get a go. We got the Maze Mine Tome. We'll do an end step scry with that one, and then we'll do a draw probably after that. I might even set an upkeep stop depending on what we see on top. Priest of Forgotten Gods. Well, we have no creatures to sacrifice, so our opponent's net deck will not take advantage of our list just yet. And we will scry. Shock. I think I would rather have a land. I want to actually play some Planeswalkers today. And we'll go with a draw. Got a mountain. Okay. And another mountain, which is perfectly fine. We've got the Chandra's Triumph we can take care of at some point. I'd rather use it in a situation where we can punish maybe a tap out on the Witch's Oven. Or just go after bigger beasts like Woe Strider. I actually think we try to take out Priest of the Forgotten Gods here. They sack it to Witch's Oven, and then we'll go with Chandra Heart of Fire to shock the Woe Strider. I think that's our play. So Priest can't sack itself, which is why I'm aiming for that one first. This basically opens them up, doing sacking of the 2 goats on their end step, which doesn't do much for them since they can't get the mana or any use out of it. So we lose 2, they draw a card, and it dies, basically. Let's sack for a scry, okay. And they go for the top. So our opponent's list run Murderous Rider? I don't think it's got the room, right? Actually, it can't because of the Gigantha. Alright, so now we go after Woe Strider. No Witch's Oven it, which is perfectly fine. I was kind of expecting them to use the Witch's Oven on the Priest, but makes sense either way. And now we're looking for a scry so we can awaken Inferno, and I think we'll win from there. Once Awakened Inferno's out of our hand, I don't think we really have too much of a reason to keep the rest of the hand. At least as it currently stands, anyway. All that could probably change. Our opponent's just going to play Gigantha. Guess they're hoping to have a threat that doesn't die to shock. Because pretty much their entire deck does, short of... Ooh, hello. That's not bad. I am going to be discarding my hand, though. I'm just looking for a land. And you know what? This does mean we sack the Maze Mind Tome without getting too much card draw out of it, but I think a Scry to guarantee Chandra Awakened Inferno gets played this turn, or near enough anyway, is good enough for me, which we did. So we're going to go Chandra Awakened Inferno, play her down, tick her up, and then shock our opponent in the face as well. Alright, so we want to get empty-handed as soon as possible so the Heart of Fire can tick up and gain us 3 cards with very little downside, as we currently situate ourselves. We're not exactly in a position where, you know, we're gaining too much card advantage, but unfortunately for our opponent, guess what? This now deals 5 damage because we have a Chandra in play. So you're going to have to crack that for the Witch's Oven. And I imagine they explode. Yeah. When you get absolutely embarrassed like that, I'd consider conceding at that point. Sweet. Alright, so Chandra's takes down the Rakdos Sacrifice. Not too bad, not too bad. Alrighty then, this actually is a very good hand, so we're going to keep this one. We do probably want a higher quality Chandra than Acolyte of Flame, but having turn 1 Shock into turn 2 Maze Mind Tome into turn 3 Chandra or Flame Sweep is pretty good in my eyes. So we're just going to go land and pass. And see where we go from here. What is our opponent playing today? Temple of Epiphany, so it could be a prowess list perhaps? With the new little burb. Not quite sure, but Shock, I think, should have some decent applications for taking care of our opponent's creatures. And Maze Mind Tome should allow us to find the pieces we need to keep control of this board. So if it's the prowess list that I'm thinking of, they do have a Stormwing thingamajig, which is a baseline 3/3 that they can play on turn 3. But this turn they can... apparently playing Improbable Alliance. Okay, so we're in for a fun game at least. I think this turn I will go with a Scry, because I don't really want to draw another land. So bottoming that is quite nice. And Awakened Inferno is also pretty decent. I feel like going for Chandra here is just perfectly fine. I don't think on 4 loyalty she's going to die to anything our opponent can play, and getting in that aggression is just fine. It just means that we sacrifice, essentially, the chance to use Maze Mind Tome's draw. But I think that's not too bad. Might set an upkeep stop to do a Scry end step, draw upkeep, maybe. Ironcrag Pyromancer. Okay, that does need answering, so if we can find ourselves a Chandra's Triumph, that'd be nice. It's another mountain. So right now we have Flame Sweep plus Shock. I don't think I use Flame Sweep that early though. Let's see what we draw first. It's another mountain. So I could do Shock, Chandra minus Shock, play our land, and that allows me still to draw with Maze Mind Tome, which I think is okay. Puts my Chandra a little bit lower than I'd be happy with ideally, but that's what we're going to go with. And they've got the green in their deck, by the way, for Jolrael as well, which is a 2-mana whenever you draw a card, you make a 2/2. So I think these Flame Sweeps are honestly going to be very, very good in our matchup, and we don't really want to give them away too easily. Opponent opts, which gives them a Fairy token. Now that we've gone with that line of play as well, we're pretty much stuck in a position where we're going to be going with loyalty counters on the 0 here. But that's not too bad if we've got a Chandra already in play. Or even a Regulator if we can find one of those. We've got an end step draw with the Maze Mind Tome after all. Opponent's deck is definitely an interesting one that I'd like to play. I don't think it's anything necessarily too special competition-wise. In fact, I dare say it's probably not great, but not great doesn't mean that it's not fun. So, game 4 life, we'll draw with the Maze Mind Tome, see if we can find a better answer for this current board state. Again, I don't really want to use Flame Sweep. Novice Pyromancer is not bad. Okay, so loyalty counter on each red planeswalker we control. So we'll take that up to 3. Pass the turn, and I mean, next turn we've got the Awakened Inferno, which is just fine. Opponent had something to play on 2 there and chose not to. It can't be a Stomp. Maybe it was a Thrill of Possibility. But I feel like you would have cast that, though, because that would draw you 2 and give you the Fairy token. So you could attack this turn. I don't know. I think they lose once I play this. They're going to need a very quick and explosive board, and that's just not really something that's permitted in this current climate that we find ourselves in.
Throw another punch, and you're going to get burned.
You are going to get burned, Professor Chaos. Teferi's Ageless Insight. Damn. That's a card. Okay, well, you know what's also a card? Chandra, Awakened Inferno. Tick up Chandra. And I think we're still going to put a loyalty counter on each planeswalker we control. So Chandra, Awakened Inferno is now on 9, and pretty much impossible that she'll die. Which means these ticks are just going to keep on coming. So our opponent's just drawn Teferi's Ageless Insight that says if you would draw a card, except for the first one on each of your draw steps, draw 2 cards instead. So Ops are now going to draw 2 cards. It's not really necessarily applicable in the enabling of Improbable Alliance, except for on our turn. Our turn, it turns all of their Opts into draw 2 effects, which is what they need. Beforehand, they would need to use like 2 spells or a Thrill of Possibility in order to really make that happen. So, in a nutshell, what I'm saying is that it's basically just extreme card advantage. So like Kasmina now has a -2 that says make a 2/2 wizard and then draw 2, discard 1. So now they've got a reasonable board state, and I feel pretty far ahead to the point where I might minus my Awakened Inferno or even go for the Flame Sweep. Not entirely sure. I think I might tick up with the Awakened Inferno to get that ticking much more, and then use a minus when we absolutely need it. Because right now I don't think we do. I think this board state is perfectly fine with 1 point of damage going to an irrelevant position on the Planeswalker board. And we even have Chandra Fire Artisan. We shouldn't have played that land there, by the way. Just in case this Fire Artisan ticks up and reveals one. There we go. We did not draw a card, which is unfortunate. Alright, so we're going to tick up with Chandra. We're going to put a loyalty counter on each Planeswalker. And then I think we're going to... we're not going to upkeep, actually. We're going to let our opponent enable with their Kasmina, the Improbable Alliance. I think first of all... take that off. Thank you. Since this is instant speed, I might as well use it as late as possible. And I imagine our opponent will go for the Kasmina this turn, so it's a chance to get that extra value. And all we're really risking is our Acolyte of Flame here anyway, since they've only got the 4 points on board, and I don't imagine they've got pump spells. Jolriel off the top would be a pseudo pump spell, I guess, but they don't have the mana for that. I think it's like 2 mana to come down and then 6 mana to activate. So that's not going to happen, essentially. They could have counter magic, but as I mentioned, like Acolyte of Flame's the only one at risk here, and then we just minus with the Awakened Inferno and reset this board. So draw 2 and then discard 1, make a 2/2, and make a 1/1. So far, so good. I mean, I think this is very much a win more card. Unfortunately for our opponent. So yeah, sending it where we expected, and then we'll go for the kill here. This should explode anytime soon if they don't have the answer for this. Perhaps they're just running pump spells. It would be weird, but it won't be the first time that I've gotten confused by an inclusion of a strange card. Okay, so now what do? I would say they are Chandra gridlocked. Alright, let's see if we get a land off the Fire Artisan. Could we have, I think we could have ulted Chandra Fire Artisan there. But where's the fun in that when we've got Chandra Heart of Fire coming down as well? Just gonna fill this board with Chandras. This one's gonna tick up. This one's gonna do some shocks. Let me just check. Spells your opponent's cast at target. Costs 2 more to cast, that's fine for now. Just send this at our opponent's face. And I think we'll just go with a loyalty counter on each red planeswalker we control. And we'll hold up in this Chandra's Triumph, dealing 5 damage wherever we want it.
Focus? I just want to burn stuff already.
It actually doesn't work, does it? No. That's fine, though. Again, they've got a 1/1. We don't really care. Yep. This is a ruffle stomp, no matter how you slice it. Short of our opponent having Elder Spell in their Teamer deck. I don't think we've got anything to worry about. We're on 24, they're taking 3 damage per turn off of our emblems over there. Yeah, perhaps we get to ult the old Chandrarino. Now, wouldn't that be nice? Would our opponent allow us to do that? There's Joriel. And that actually become a 5/5 base power and toughness as it currently stands, but that's not enough for Chandra's Triumph to really make much difference. Yeah, let's do Chandra's ult, if our opponent will allow it. So, my turn. We'll go loyalty counter. Oh, it's -9 on that one. We'll do the -7 on this one then instead. And yeah, let's kill our opponent. Dang it, just a little bit too short on the ult there. I mean, it's only really gonna get what, 3 shocks or something silly like that. Interplane of Bacon for the turn. We'll go tick up. We'll go. We didn't actually get any regulators, which is weird. Good game. I'm gonna kill you right now. Don't you worry. Gonna play this Chandra.
Ready? I'm ready. Let's do this.
We're gonna make some elementals. We're gonna send them in, and then if our opponent has an answer for that, we've got the shock on the Heart Flame.
Chandra, you need more control.
Boop.
Just let me burn.
And boop. And send it.
It's elemental, dear.
It's elemental, dear. Yes, it is. Alright. Good game. Rockin' a hard place, Professor Chaos. Rockin' a hard place. So they can make a 1/1. I kind of wanted them to, so I could do the maximum amount on my turn here. I actually think we had enough to even activate Mobilize District for a 3rd creature, but with the cat tokens, it's not really an option. But yeah, got the 2 damage to any target we could fire off at any time. But that just seemed a little bit cooler. Alright, or hotter anyway, I guess. 5 Planeswalkers all in play at the same time. And we won? That's a surprise. Okay, let's have a look-see. This hand is honestly fine. It's got a lot of interaction with the Maze Mind Tome to find some early game Chandras. We actually have red mana, so we can cast our burn spells as well. So yeah, this is okay. Put the Chandra Triumph with the other one. And blue-white. Blue-white flyers, okay. Well, that probably wants to die. How does it want to die? I think we'll go with a Scorching Dragonfire to lead the charge this time around. So if I know what the list is, I believe it's going to be Adamant MTG's Blue-White Flyers list that's been going around. I think it was on Channel Fireball very recently as well. It's a pretty good deck. It's very creature-orientated, so if we can zap down all of our opponent's creatures, they shouldn't have too much hope of winning this game. And yeah, we don't really care about Spectral Sailor right as of yet. It's like we do have a Flame Sweep next turn if we really want it. We just want to make our land drops up until we get to Chandra Awaken Inferno and use these Triumphs to hopefully take care of all the creatures that could be out of range of the -3. And also not die to Rally of Wings as well. So we're going to do some scrying. Actually did want the land there, so we're going to let ourselves draw that bad boy. And from here, I think we just pass. I think we pass with a Flame Sweep open. If they play anything, they tap out of Rally of Wings, which would save their creatures. So we can potentially get some extra value. I'm going to take the 2 on the off chance that actually comes to pass. And we've got to play around Lofty Denial as well, which I think the reason why our opponent is hesitating so much is because they have it in hand. And they're not sure whether or not they want to tap out. So we're going to draw a card, another mountain. It's actually not too bad. Yeah, let's go for a kill on... Let's go for Healer's Hawk. Spectral Sailor, while it doesn't have the ability to draw cards, is not as scary, and if our opponent does go for a Lofty Denial here, which they definitely have, it's a counter unless you pay 4. So we're just going to pass the turn again. Right up until we can play this uncounterable spell, essentially. So we'll take 1. We're going to use our life total as a resource, essentially to gather information from our opponent. And the information is they don't want to play anything else while they've got a Lofty Denial open that could be getting them value. So we're just not going to give them that value. Like, they can take it here, and then if they do that, we've got the Heart of Fire, which is a counterable Planeswalker that will kill their Spectral Sailor instead. They're not going to win this game. This hand's too good. Yeah, so now they've got a counter unless you pay 1. So I'm going to go for the Scry here for a mountain so I can play around Lofty Denial. And that is a Chandra I already have. Well, we can play that one instead, so that's not too bad. That'll gain us 2 life, play around Lofty Denial, and the Tick Up can also potentially get us a land drop for the turn, which is not too bad. Opponent's feeling real bad about that Denial right now. Okay. Well, we do burn a Scorching Dragonfire there, which would be a nice card, but the state of our hand is in a situation where nothing could possibly go wrong, so... Alright, Tick Up. Get a mountain. And yeah, I think this is where we go with Chandra Awaken Inferno. Actually, we could go with the Chandra Acolyte of Flame and then go for a minus. That also works, I think. Save our counterable Planeswalker, or uncounterable Planeswalkers, should I say, for when they've actually got their counters open to stop us. So, minus, Dragonfire, kill the Eagle. There we go. And then next turn, we go for Loyalty counter on each red Planeswalker, -7. And see what we can find. I mean, to be honest, we've already got everything we'd ever want. I don't even know what we'd go for. Yeah, to be honest, kind of think we just go for Awakened Inferno here. And just continue to ruffle stomp our opponent a little bit more. Let's look for that land drop so we can play a Maze Mind Tome, maybe. Yeah, it's an intervention. Okay. So, loyalty counter. -3 on you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. And pass the turn. Now we can keep our Fire Artisan after the ult. Play another Empyrean Eagle, which I'm sure we can kill very easily. In fact, we have a -2 right there for it. I guess we could go with that. I mean, we've got this -7 here. We'll just take that. Got Interplanar Beacon. Oh, sorry. We already made our land drop. We'll go with Perforos's Intervention then. X2. Kill that. Our deck is purely designed to kill creature decks, so it is no surprise that this game ended up in the way that it did. The only real surprise, I think, in my eyes is, one, how the game thought tapping like that was a good idea, and two, how our opponent is also still playing. That's the real surprise, I think, here. The fact that they're still playing suggests that they may actually think they stand a chance of winning, which is not actually the case. Fairy Miscreant, okay. If they've got another one, they can draw a card, and they do. I've got a Flame Sweep, which will embarrass that particular card. Again, though, they could have Rally of Wings, so I might just go for Awakened Inferno minus to sweep the board and then Flame Sweep to clean up. Alternatively, I have the Chandra Heart of Fire, which, you know what, it's probably just fine. We'll go with that. Gain 2. The more Planeswalkers on the board, the better, I think. Tick up to shock that. They will not Rally of Wings to save that. Unless they really don't think they can win the game. And we'll kill it. There we go. Complete and utter domination from turn 1. Alright, make some elementals. We're still just missing 1 Chandra now. We need 4 mana Chandra. And we need the Regulator to complete the Chandra Tribal package. I'm surprised our minus didn't find that, to be honest, but I think our opponent's going to be dead long before that actually ends up being relevant. Watcher of the Spheres is already dead. And Miscreant is already dead. Okay. Well, that was, yeah. If Blue-White Flyers ever gets popular, enter Chandra Tribal to clean up the meta. Ooh, we even got some invisible ranks. Did you see that? It's crazy stuff. Yeah, I don't know if we ever were in a position where that was a questionable win. I think knowing they had Lofty Denial, knowing they had Rally of Wings was all we really needed to completely control that game. And using the life total as a resource also did a world of wonders. We even ended up on positive 28 life in the end there. So, pretty good. Alright, let's go for one more game, I think. Alrighty then, we're in, and it's the first time seeing Chandra's Regulator alongside some Planeswalkers. I think we're going to actually take this hand. It's not fantastic, but I think we can work with this. Being on the draw, we got a chance that we can draw some shocks or more burn spells, which is honestly just fine. Regulator should be able to dig us through the deck, maybe getting rid of the Awakened Inferno for now. Since we've got 3 more in the deck, I'm sure we can find them. It's all going to be dependent on what our opponent's playing here, to be honest, though. I want to see what cards are going to be relevant in this matchup, and we're leading off with the Forest so far, which could be mono-green Stompy. Okay. So that probably wants to die now, because it will most likely be attacking as a 3/3. If our opponent has Yorvo, that comes in as a 4/4, right? I believe it does. So yeah, we're just going to want tall removal, I guess. So this deck did a fair bit. I'm not sure if it's still doing a fair bit in the metagame right now. I'm going to go with the Regulator here and get rid of a Fire Artisan, I think. Khan's Bastion. And Questing Beasts. Yeah, we're going to need some tall removal, otherwise this game's over. Fire Artisan into the trash, and we got ourselves a land. I think this game's already over. That's what I believe. Alright, so they get themselves a Stone Coil Serpent. And we get ourselves a land. So we could play the Chandra Fire Artisan, but it's essentially already dead. It'd gain us 4 life. If they wanted to kill it. Could go digging with the Regulator to find Scorching Dragonfire or Chandra's Triumph. I guess even Perforos's Intervention. We do have a lot of good cards here to find, and I think we'll get rid of the Flame Sweep. It's just too short. And there's a Dragonfire. So yeah, we'll kill the Harbinger with that. Big Stone Coil though. That's going to be hard to prevent. Alright. Kill the Harbinger. Hornbeetle goes up to 3 power, unfortunately. And we're at 8. I think we're just too slow. 1/1 with the Lovestruck Beast. Which we can stop it from attacking. Easy enough. Oh, Awakened Inferno, if only you were good. Let us dump you. Oh, Mountain, if only you were good. So we're dead. We're actually dead. Hornbeetle becomes a 4/4. And that's all she wrote. That sucks. Yeah, I think Mono Green's not exactly a good matchup for us. Since the average amount of damage we deal is 3, and we drew none of our other cards that actually deal 4. So, you know, it speaks for itself really, doesn't it? Alright, well that is gonna do it for today's video. Overall, I would say that this deck is a turbo meme, but I think we already knew that going into it. I don't know if I really care to play anything that's not a turbo meme in Standard right now, because if you try to build anything that's good, you're just going to lose to Team Rec and Mono Red, so why try? Why try? So yeah, I wouldn't necessarily recommend building this, but if you got the pieces for it, it's a fair bit of fun. So yeah, link to the deck list is down in the description. But other than that, hopefully you enjoyed. If you have, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. I'll see you next week for some more Standard. Other than that, though, it's going to be some Brawl, some Historic, and a bit more Jumpstart for you guys. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.